Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today on today's show, the Dennis Barnes Show, I bring some special guests in. These special guests are someone that you guys want to know. Uh, and reason why I say you want to know is because I've known one of them for many years, and from the day I met her, she has always been an upward mobile person, and she recently, I was saying a couple of years, and they're gonna tell you the story, but she joined forces with her now husband, and they've created a table of sorts where like-minded people could come together to benefit financially, successfully, and having a common goal. Now, from the past, you've seen I brought different guests in law, entertainment, television. But I'm gonna bring a power couple in right now where they can tell their story and why they came up with the Baje and Boston Tea Party. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the room, Baje. Hey, Baje.
Hello there. How are you?
It wouldn't be Baje without Boston.
Hey family, what's going on? How are you guys doing today?
What's going on, guys? What's going on? So, as I
We're
said,
great.
I like to bring in very special people to my platform because it's all about paying for and building. And
Mhm.
today, as I said to my people, I'm bringing in the power couple, Baje and Boston, and I'm so excited about your event that's coming up May 28th at the Ritz Carlton Hotel. But let's talk about first of all, how did you guys come up with the Baje and Boston Tea Party? And let's talk about the goal group.
Man,
Baje.
man. So this is going to be our sixth annual tea party. And I got the idea. I remember we were dining at the Four Seasons here in Atlanta. And at the time, they had this vintage room. The room just like oozed wealth, and I was like, oh my god, I need to do an event here, an event for people in my circle, because oftentimes we feel like things are out of reach, and they say to create the life you want and design the life you feel like you deserve, one, you have to see it in your mind, you have to imagine it, and it's hard to imagine something if you haven't really seen any of it at all. So I was like, I want to put my people in an environment of wealth, an environment like this, and I really wanted to create the table that I wanted, 17 years ago.
I know you from being on some big shows. You was on Dr. Phil. You authored a great book, uh,
Mhm.
and you now have you gotta have help. We
Yes.
have Mr. Boston. Mr. Boston. Let's first of all, let's talk about how you came together, and like this is a great thing. And I watch your videos. I'm inspired by your videos. Your energy is like out there, and I'm like, wow. And then you have a great suit that I want, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, I want to say, Dennis, it's God is amazing, and I got to start with that because our walk was so orchestrated, right? We met in Atlanta, Georgia, right? We met in Atlanta, Georgia, back in around say '09, '08, '09. But I want to tell you that the story is so powerful because that book is going to be coming because my wife was literally born around the corner in Brooklyn, New York, from where I was growing up, and
Wow.
we were growing up on two separate blocks around the corner from each other, and just kind of show you the walk of how God is so faithful because her walk was that they brought her to Jamaica when I was coming from, and literally in that process she came and she built her life and I went and built my life, and then we met in Atlanta when we both were established. Okay. And so one of the greatest thing is that when you look and say, "Wow, we met in Atlanta," and where we met at a speakeasy. It's an amazing thing where we actually met. We met at a speakeasy, a night where she never wanted to go out, I never wanted to go out, but two friends said, "Just come on out and just enjoy the night," right? And so I came out and reluctantly came out and just sat at the bar. And here it is. You got this amazing woman that came to the bar to purchase a drink. And the story is this simple, man. I heard her saying, "I can purchase my own drink." Dennis, I heard her saying, "I can buy
That's
my own
Paige.
drink."
Miss
That's
Independent.
absolutely. And she slide her Amex Gold card on the bar, and I'm sitting there just paying attention to the bartender, and because she did that, I then slightly turned and said, "Oh man, I wouldn't want to be that person." And in that, she heard the accent, and she said, "Where are you from?" And from that, we just had dialogue sitting. No one really looked at each other. It was just dialogue of conversation, and it became where the people who both brought us was like, "Hold on, what do you guys just came just to sit down and talk?" And because of that dialogue, it was really good conversation. We built a friendship, and then a mentee mentorship, because she was at that point developing real estate, and being that I am an investor and banker and a lender, she was picking my brain every time she would buy different real estate investments. And hey, what do you think about this? I'm going into this, and I will direct her and give her the information that she need to succeed. And we built on that premise for some years. And then I started to attend her events that she would have, and not realizing all this time, Dennis, that the gem was in front of me, the diamond was in front of me, right? Because I was so caught up in what I was doing, and I'm in the ministry, and work closely with the prophet, and literally it was all about the ministry and then what I do as a businessman. So I wasn't really paying attention to what God has already slow cooked for me, I would like to say, Dennis.
Let me ask you a question. Now, most guys would be intimidated to approach Baje. Most guys would be intimidated, and coupled with the fact that she slapped the gold Amex card on the counter.
Right.
So that's powerful. That's powerful, and the fact that you lived a block away. I grew up in the South Bronx, and we tend not to travel to too many different blocks outside of our zone.
Exactly.
So it's interesting that you meet in a networking type of environment, and today you guys have taken networking to the next level. Baje, talk to me about knowing you for many years. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about how was it for you to like bring that, like that wall down, because no one, I can attest that knowing you all these years, no one had access to you like that. I can attest to that.
That's right.
So if I had met you in the bar, I would have probably said, bro, you might not have a chance with her.
Well, for most of my adult life, like marriage wasn't a goal of mine. And honestly, I felt like committing myself to just one man, it would really slow me down, because I didn't think it was possible to find everything I was looking for in one person. Usually when a man is romantic, then he doesn't have enough time, or he lives in another city, or he's not God-fearing, or he can't dance, or or he doesn't have money. I'm gonna put that up there. Let's just talk. And so I just didn't think it was possible. And when Boston and I met, even though we were the right people for each other, it wasn't the right time. It just wasn't the right time, and I knew that. But I had to get to a place where I was even open to a relationship. And I remember that happened maybe 2 years before we actually met, where I just surrendered, because I was like, I am so tired of holding up this wall, this guard, like always thinking people are out to get me, and I just want to be happy, So I had to first get to that place. And so when we met, I said, yeah, he's a nice guy, but I just knew it wasn't the right time. I had just moved to Atlanta, and I was like, I don't know. Let me see what's out there first, But we circled back around, years later, and it was something about him that changed. He was more assertive, more outspoken, or maybe he was always like that and he just didn't let me see that side. And I remember one time he told me, he's like, he really cares about me. He really likes me. And I was like, how do you know? He was like, because you make me nervous, and nobody makes me nervous.
That's a sign, brother. When they make you nervous,
right?
Your confidence rose above the nervousness, and that was a powerful thing.
Yeah.
I saw recently you were in Palm Beach taking flight lessons.
Yes.
I said, "Oh my God!" When I clicked on the video, I was, "Oh my goodness!" It takes a special person to be able to convince another person to take flight, literally.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, how was that for you? Talk about that, because not many people do that. And talk about getting past the 4-letter word, fear.
Yep. I'm getting butterflies in my stomach now just thinking about it, because flying, I would say, was one of my biggest fears. If I had a flight, I booked the flight, I used to have like nightmares for days leading up to the flight. And sometimes I used to just drive, I'll drive 10 hours, 12 hours instead of flying. But one day I had to ask myself, like, how are you going to see the world? How are you going to explore this big, vast world, meet new cultures, experience like new things if you're afraid to fly? And I had to just have a talk with myself. I'm like, the worst going to happen is you're going to die. Newsflash, you're going to die anyway. So you might as well just like program your mind to like see the end of the journey and just stop worrying so much, And I don't like that feeling of fear. So anything that I have that feeling of fear about, I purposely tackle it, because it's an awful way to just live your life in fear. And once you master one fear, it's so much easier to master the next and the next and the next. So I knew it was just something I had to do, So on my birthday, around my birthday, I just booked it and I did my first flight lesson.
Most people will tend to, go to first class. They don't get into the pilot seat. You did something that I would say, the majority of the population wouldn't even do that. Now, seeing that you were married at the time when she went up in the air, right?
Yes,
that's right.
How did you feel seeing her going up in the air? Because I know it was probably 10 times more powerful than what my fears I had, and I was sitting in the chair watching.
Well, the thing is, Dennis, is that you might say that we're two peas in a pod, because I was super excited because here we are deciding that, okay, we're going to get these instrument license because we are aiming towards being in that G. And I don't want the pilots flying me in the G4, the G6, and I don't know how to operate it.
right.
We have, so Baje and I have the same sentiment. So we're like, okay, you know what? I need to fly it as well. So we started, and so when she went up, I was cheering her on while she was on the ground. I was like, okay, make sure you get this right. Make sure.
Who went up first? Wait a minute. Who went up first? Did you go first or she go first?
She went first. She went first because she was already set. She had it set. Look, because here's the thing. They needed to find the right plane that can fit me, Dennis. Here's the thing. When you start, right? So when you start, the planes are not as big as you think. So the plane has to go on balance and weight.
It was like the size of a car.
Yes.
Yep.
It was the size of a car. Right.
I didn't want to be that small now.
I mean, crap, you can't fit in your Bentley.
Yeah, right. So Dennis, here it is. She went up, and what's amazing is that the most important part was the time that we really spent was on the ground. Mm-hmm. The most important thing is learning the ground. See, people don't understand. They think, well, the flying is difficult. No, it's actually the ground. Is learning all the nuances and the instrument of the ground. So once you learn that, see, everybody can take off, but then you got to come back down, Dennis. You got to come back down.
That part.
That part. So what they did, right? So what they did is that after she's learned everything, and they went up the runway, and then they had her do the runway, and then they did the takeoff. As they did the takeoff, they had her take control. So she's flying up there, right? And she's supposed to fly, Dennis, for 45 minutes by herself. She got to 25 minutes. She said, hold on a minute now. Hold on. I think this might be enough, right?
It really sat in there. Like,
okay. Yes.
It sat in.
Forward to, more of that, and just more of conquering anything that I feel scares me,
Okay. So let's talk about the 6th annual Baje and Boston Tea Party, and how did that come about, and some of the success stories of the annual event.
Man, so one thing stood out in my mind right now about the tea. But before I get to that, why I created it is because this is the type of setting I wanted, when I was 18, when I was 19, when I had this burning desire to be successful and just be around mentors and people who already acquired wealth and built businesses and invested, and just to pick their brain, just to pick their brain. So I didn't see anything like this. So there were, workshops and seminars and conferences, but all of that, it loses its intimacy when it's a certain amount of people. But this intimate room, it really became more than I thought it would be. The way people open up, the way people are vulnerable, the way people are truthful, like the nuggets that they share that they normally wouldn't if it was like a larger setting, has been remarkable. And just the partnerships and the relationships and the friendships that flourish out of it, and the different walks of life that people come from. So you'll have people who are super successful already, multi-millionaires in the room, but then you'll also have people who are just starting their journey, who just saw the event out there and they're like, well, I don't know if I'm a fit in, and I don't know what they're gonna say, and I don't know if I look right, and if my outfit is right. But they took the chance and they bought that ticket and they came in a room of strangers. And one of the things I hear often is like, man, like I just felt like family, like you guys didn't feel like strangers the way you embraced me. So that is what stands out to me a lot, And one moment that stands out to me is, I remember when I was around 14, that was one of the toughest times in my life. I was actually in foster care for a few years, and most people don't know that. But at the time, I met a woman, and she really took me under her wing. She was my first mentor. And when I felt like the world was just caving in on me, she was the one person I could speak to. And she's the one person who really who cultivated me and who I felt safe to speak to. And that year is the year I needed direction the most. And she was really there. My blood family wasn't there, but she was there. And many years went by. Like almost 20 years went by. And I don't even remember if that was many, like it was a lot of years, okay? It was a lot of years that went by. But one day she was so heavy on my heart and on my mind. I was like, I wonder if she remembers me. I wonder if she's still alive, And I Googled her and I actually found her information where she was working at. And I called and I got the voicemail. I left the voicemail and I told her, hey, it's Dage from umpteen years ago. I'm not sure if you remember me, but if you do, give me a call. And the next day, she returned my call and she said, how could I ever forget you? And she came to the tea party that year, but that was a very emotional year. And I remember her talking about the importance of mentorship, because that's what the world needs today, mentorship, because a lot of times teenagers especially feel like they're not understood by their family. A lot of times they're not even understood by their peers. And I feel like that's where a lot of problems in society really stem from, not when you're an adult, like where did it start? And a lot of times the turmoil comes in those teenage years. But I remember her sitting at the table and just talking about the importance of mentorship. And it's people like her that allow me to pay it forward, because a lot of times your mentors aren't around in 20, 30 years, or they don't remember you. But that was a rare instance where I got to go back in time and publicly thank the woman who got me on the right track, So Boston and I, like our lives is all about giving back, whether it's to adults or teenagers. And I feel like this is one of the most powerful ways to give back, because at first, and we still do it, not as often, but we literally will go on the street and, feed people and give them books and money and talk to them. And one day it dawned on me, and I felt like it would make so much more of an impact if you can pull people up rather than always going to where they are
Absolutely.
at. Pull them up and put them
right.
in an environment that inspires them. Put them beside somebody who can actually mentor them and teach them, So man, it's powerful. Those rooms are powerful.
So Boston, you come from a finance background,
Hmm.
finance and lending and so forth.
Right.
Who was one of your mentors that gave you the gumption to say that this is where I want to be? Because when we grow up, as we get old, as we grow up
Hmm.
as teenagers, we may say, "Hey, I want to be a baseball player," but then you come to the realization that it's only a small segment of society will ever become a baseball player or a
Right.
football player. In your case, I use football. I don't want to. But it could be baseball too, but
Right.
where did you who was the mentor that influenced you to do what you're doing today? And did you have a mentor?
And that's a great question. Coming up in Brooklyn, New York, it was a thing of coming from a family that everything was about making sure you go to school, making sure you get good grades, and follow the blueprint as every other family member. Become a nurse, a doctor. In the case of my family, a lot of nurses and doctors and a few lawyers. And it was a matter of this is the path that you need to take. So it was just school, school, school. However, if I had to say mentor, it was a matter of I had a friend who literally was taking care of homes that his parents had, and we were all just friends, buddies. And so, I would go along and just assist with in Bedford-Stuyvesant in taking care of the homes, making sure the homes stay up to par for the renters, right? And
So
what
you were doing
happened?
Airbnb before Airbnb came about.
Yeah, absolutely,
The real
absolutely.
Airbnb king.
Absolutely. So by doing that, right? By doing that, we met some guys who were canvassing the area. Some Israelis that was canvassing the area. They were in the mortgage business. And they were saying, hey guys, if you find us properties that are foreclosed or distressed, we will pay you XYZ amount of dollars. And you hear people tell you that, but yeah, whatever, you don't believe. They gave us the business cards and things like that. They lived in Long Island. We're in Brooklyn. Long Island is a wow, special place, right? So you're
Right.
like, okay, wow. And so I continue that journey on just helping when I can. And we actually found homes and give them a call. When we did that, they did exactly what they said they would do. It may have took a few months, but then they showed back up to the residents and brought us a check and said, hey, look, this is for you all. And so right away, coming up as a young man in Brooklyn, the hustle is real. I'm coming from a West Indian household that believes in high pride. We thought to ourselves, well, if they gave us this, how much money did they make? You know,
That's when
and
you had the aha moment. We
that's
all
that.
have the
There you
aha
go. The aha moment happened. And so what happened from there is that we then said, okay, what else do you guys need? And they knew that, well, all right, they can send us into Bedford-Stuyvesant more than they could have gone into Bedford-Stuyvesant at that point, right?
moment.
So we decided and we did that. And because we were so good at finding the property at that point, today, we call it people are bird dogging and doing wholesaling, right? It started in that way. I was going to school and I was going to school for law. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go be a lawyer because my family, they said he talks so much, he needs to be a barrister at law. Let him go study law, right? And I'm a youngster, right? Doing this. So what they did is that these guys, they actually invited us to their office in Long Island.
Mm.
And when they invited us to their office, they said, guys, come on Long Island one day. We're going to show you our setups. They were mortgage brokers at the time. And I want to tell you that changed the course of my life because these gentlemen, Paul, one of the guys named Corey, they changed our lives because they literally, once they invited us up there and they showed us the setup and they said, look, this is what we can do for you. You guys can actually work under our brokerage and you can find properties. We will teach you everything. And when you do this, we will break down a percentage for you. So mentorship started just by the fact of me connecting with a friend and then we meeting these gentlemen a little bit later on. And that kind of took things in a different perspective for me because I always felt like, I was coming up hearing, I don't have it. I don't have it. We don't have the money. And I always thought to myself, no, I can be bigger than this. Why can't I be the people that that I'm seeing on TV? Why can't I be the guy that they talk about? And I want to tell you, it's so funny, as I have you jump in here, Dennis. It was so funny. I tell this story, I laugh. I remember years back, I'm in the kitchen in Brooklyn, New York, with my mom and my sisters and all of them. And I remember them saying to me, you're young, and what are you really doing? Because I'm seeing that you have these nice things, and are you doing the right thing? They said, do you think you're Donald Trump? Do you think you're going to be this rich? Do you think you're, and I laughed. This was way back in like maybe 2001, right? Mm-hmm. And, when I look and fast forward and I say, God is so faithful, because they couldn't understand how real estate work, how finance work, because they thought that I needed to go and get the master's degree for it, because if I didn't get it and then go work for someone, they didn't understand that someone could have seen the potential from me helping them and then bringing us into that atmosphere. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. You touched on something as I listen to you talk. I think about another New Yorker who had a similar mindset, and he was the president of the United States. And if you listen to his story, while his father kind of pulled him up, but
yep.
If you follow his story, you can see that he was someone that was more about the finance and less about the other stuff that was a distraction. And let's talk about how you guys are able to get away from those type of similar distractions to achieve your goal. Because a lot of times people don't achieve their goals because they're distracted, easily taken away from the mission. We know there's a lot of distraction happening now, and we talk about the buying power of people of color and how we look at other nationalities and how they are able to, like the person, your mentor was Israeli, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how we have, how we get away from distractions, and sometimes it's about inclusion. For me, in the things I've done in life, if I just been thinking one way, it wouldn't have been possible. And you saw something bigger than just. I know the neighborhood you grew up in, that section. And a lot of times we're not as open, especially coming from a West Indian family.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, right. So let's talk about how you get away from those distractions and stay the course. And then let's get into this event that I'm going to be so happy to attend.
Yeah, Baje, jump on in here. I think this will be a good thing for him to hear you.
The biggest distraction is media, whether it's TV or news or depending on what you watch on social media. I started watching TV about 17 years ago. And when I say TV, I mean like Netflix and online channels and stuff like that, because I didn't want society telling me how to think. And that's exactly what media does, I didn't want to be afraid every time I saw something on the news. And like the media, it drives fear into people. And right behind right behind the news, they'll, strategically play a commercial that makes you buy whatever they're showing because of what they just showed you on the news.
That's right.
I used to watch on TV a lot, but when I started modeling and acting when I was younger, I was just always on the road, and that span of those few years of being away from TV, like I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it. So I tell people, like, if you want to become successful, that's one of the first things you're going to have to do. You're going to have to change you have to change what you're listening to, because that's where thoughts and feelings come from. Like, what is going in your ear gate? Sometimes I go to nail salons and they have the news on, or gyms and they have the news on, back to back, killing, shooting, rape, fires, all this. I'm like, and you expect to feel good? You expect to be a positive person? You expect to create a life of abundance? It's impossible. So like distractions, TV, you have to cut it out of your life and replace it with other things. So I listen to audiobooks, I'll wake up, I'll listen to motivational things. And that's how it has been for about 15 years. And I would say that's one of the biggest changes of direction in my life, is what I fed myself on a daily basis. And two, when you know what you are working for, it's not easy to get distracted. I'm not thinking about me. You know, I'm at a place in my life and been at a place in my life where I don't have to do any, I literally don't have to do anything. And that started from the first time I hit Dr. Phil in my early 20s, writing my first book that became a national bestseller. And that was the first time I was introduced to residual income, where 1 month after the show, 2 months after the show, 3 months after the show, without me actively speaking about the book, I was getting checks. I'm like, is this legal? They know this money's still coming. So once I found out what residual income was, like, I was addicted to creating more streams. And that is one of the key things that wealthy people knew about that the average person did not know. So definitely like residual income. But yeah, so distractions, you got to cut it out of your life. And two, you have to know what you are working for. So I'm not working just for me, because if it was just for me, I would stop working a long time ago. I would stop doing events. I would stop teaching people about investing. At this point, it's about others. You know, what can I do for others? Why am I here? Why did God create me? What is my purpose? And my purpose is to help people to get out of the rat race, help people to design the lives they deserve, because I don't feel like I was given the last 15 years of not having to work just for me. It's about contributing, you know, to the world and to society. So in order not to get distracted, think about what you are working for. Think about where you'll be in 10 years, 20 years. And right now you may not have kids, you may not have anybody dependent on you, but think about where your parents will be in 20 and 30 years, right, and what kind of life they will be living, because more than likely you'll be their caretaker. So what are you doing today to build a foundation for them tomorrow?
I call it having a exit plan, an
Yes.
entry plan and an exit plan. You start thinking about your exit plan when you get to be about, some think about it when they're 10 years old, and others think about it when they're 90 years old, when you're on the way out. And I always tell people, it's that dash. What have you contributed to that dash in your life? What have you done so when you're gone, your legacy continue on? What are you leaving for others to build from? And I think that what you two are doing right now is going to speak volumes, because we always talking about how do we change the conversation about blacks getting out of, you know, not certain blacks, not all blacks, but certain blacks getting out of certain situations. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in the South Bronx. And when you're in the projects in the South Bronx, you have people on top of you, below you. You had to figure your way out of that situation. And for me, it was education. It was, you know, mentorship. And then I gave back. I gave back to the Boys and Girls Club, Police Athletic League, you know, martial arts. And it was all about networking and giving back. And you two have proven, based on everything I've seen, that you're on the path of helping people. And let's talk about why we need to bring more people into the fold for achievement with the Baje and Boston Tea Party.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, Dennis, the thing is that once we cut out the noise, then we can focus on where we need to be. Right. You said something earlier as we talk about the Tea Party, why it's so powerful, why it's so necessary. You know, when you said, hey, listen, in the case of sports, it might be baseball, well, maybe football. That was one of the things that I needed to shut down, the stereotype of, wow, this guy's a muscular dude. He must be a ball player. Oh, hold on. Wait, you're a banker? You deal with finance? You're on Wall Street? Hold on. These guys aren't muscular. You must be a ball player. Right. So I had to shut that down in the sense of, well, we actually can look like we're playing football and be extremely intelligent as well. You understand? So the concept would be, when we looked at what we're doing with this Tea Party, and we're trying to teach those that might be less fortunate, those that are fortunate and don't know what to do with the fortune that they have. Because I've done so many different loans for a lot of the ball players, these different people that came through my office, and I realized that, wow, a lot of these individuals needs guidance. A lot of us need to understand how to, not only we can get a check, but how are we going to leverage that check? How are we going to double that? How are we going to maintain it? How are we going to create a link of generational wealth? Okay. So when the Tea Party was birthed, the Tea Party wasn't about, hey guys, come to a tea party, throw on a dress and a hat, and just throw a pinky fingers up and sip some tea, right? Because here's the thing. The concept of the tea, which has started many moons ago, it's awesome. Somebody can say, hey guys, I'm gonna pay $1, $2, $4 just to come here. But you're getting into a room of exquisite, upper echelon, the room of rooms, that the conversations that's happening behind those doors that you are always wishing that, well, why couldn't we be behind those doors with those decision making? Well, now you can get there. So the Tea Party, the Baje and Boston Tea Party being formed to be able to now help not only those of Black excellence, but anyone who wants to get into the room to say, well, look, I want to connect with those that are like-minded. I want to learn how to multiply what I've got. And not only multiply it, how do I help my children to understand that this is generational wealth and that they should not stray away from what I've built, but to continue the legacy. And these are the type of conversations that has been happening at and behind the doors of the Tea Party. And we love the concept of the tea because the tea allows people to want to get dressed up, right? And then
why the Victorian style concept. And
I love that.
And I love the top you got on, Baje, by the way. I'm getting that vibe already.
Man, let me tell you, I didn't even know what the word Victorian, was per se, but it was just certain things that I was drawn to. Like sometimes I'll just be at antique stores on the weekend, lost for like 2-3 hours, and I don't know where I get this stuff from. Just addicted to drawn to chandeliers and certain type of furniture with the curved legs and things like that, and the outfits, and even when so like one of the things I collected is silverware, like utensils, like sterling silver utensils. And when they ask what pattern I want, I may not know the name of the pattern, but when I pick it out, it's always from the same era, and that Victorian, that Baroque look. And it was just something that resonated with me. And I'm sure in time it'll unfold exactly why.
I can tell you right now, it's unfolding now. You have great taste.
Well,
quality based. You know what IKEA furniture is like, and you know what Victorian style furniture is like. And yeah, I got a few pieces that curve too now. They're not all straight.
Man, when I think back about that era, just from seeing photos or like maybe scenes in movies, it just depicted wealth to me, wealth and poise and class. And that's what I wanted to bring to my circle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, Dennis, the thing is, as she mentioned, that the era of the Victorian, the times of the Victorian, that era, it also represents that there were so many brown skin individuals, Africans, that was wealthy. We're talking about what we see and we depict from television. There is more than that, right?
Yeah.
So television show us one thing, but we're also coming from royalty. So what I want everybody to understand, ladies and gentlemen, you hear the Baje and Boston Tea Party, but we are not doing a Baje and Boston Tea Party in a mimic of someone else as Victorians. I'm talking to you right now as I speak to you, coming from the sense of excellence. We came from royalty. Absolutely. The era of Victorian, it was brown-skinned people that was in those beautiful corsets. It was brown-skinned people that was in those beautiful top hats and those jackets. So when you hear this, I don't want you to say, well, oh, they're doing a tea party because the tea party came from the Brits, and you must understand history. And we're going to talk a little bit about that history behind that closed door as well when Absolutely. People do come on in so they can learn about it.
That is the nugget that you don't want to miss.
That's right.
That nugget, because you can go to a regular club event, but this is nothing like that. This is nothing like that. And I would say this: if you want, like most of my friends are millionaires, you want to be around people that you want to emulate the people that you're around. And how do you do that? You got to be around successful people. You have
Absolutely.
to be around successful people because it's going to rub off on you. It has to rub off on you. It's just the law of average. So, guys, I do appreciate you both being a part of my show today. I'm so excited about being at the Baje and Boston Tea Party. I don't order some of my stuff is supposed to be in today. We'll see. I'm looking at nice pieces. I gotta get the right gloves.
All right.
Talk about the gloves now.
Might get a cane.
The cane. I have to pull the pool stick. I can break it down.
It'll be fun and empowering mostly, yeah, we needed a reason to dress up. People need a reason to dress up. And when we get dressed, then we go out, people are like, oh, what's the occasion? And I'm like, life, life. So here's your excuse to put on your finest and come on out with people who dream big and ready to do some big things in life.
Absolutely. Well, Boston, close it out, my brother. Close it out.
Well, listen, truly, I cannot tell you guys how much I'm excited for you all to come this Saturday, the 28th. That's right, the 28th of May, this Saturday from noon to 4 p.m. Block it out from noon to 4 p.m. and be behind the walls, be behind these closed doors so you can connect with the powerhouse. It's such an amazing list and an A-list of individuals and celebrities that will be there because they are coming to contribute to this as well. So I want to see you guys behind the doors. So reach out to us, get with us at bageandboston.com. That's right, bageandboston.com. So you can go ahead and get your tickets to the Baje and Boston Tea Party. So much respect, Dennis. Thank you very much for hosting us, my friend.
Thank you, Boston. Thank you, Baje. I'll see you guys in a few days.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.